We've got the, make sure we have our shearers on the board. The pen, people have been told we're actually having the merinos first. Make sure you give me the merinos first, because that's the comb and cutter I've got on. Graham McNay just coming back along the board. The shearers are all out now. Just a slight moment of hesitation for one of them, who's had to drop off and pick up something. Maybe he wanted a spare cutter. He's had a look at his merino pen. He's just might need to get a spare cutter. He said, I've got a rough merino in there and I might need to change some gear. Here he comes. Nerves are all shot, so we'll get him underway. Everybody looks happy. Timekeeper's good. Judges, competitors, go. Second heat of this PGG Wrightson sponsored event. They've been with us for a long time, PGG Wrightson, and they're going to stay with us again, hopefully in the future. It would be great. We'll get some indication of that maybe later on in the presentations. We've got some top lineup shearers here again, some very experienced competitors, some with a little bit of go and quite young, and others and wondering what the heck they're doing up there now. They just dragged out their first merino. But looking all the way, Tony Knott, he's would have dealt to two of these merinos down there in Blenheim in his country, because it's nice and dry. And then down the other end of the field we've got Nathan Stratford, who comes from the deep south, where these merinos live in the snow country all the time. Hugh look pretty sharp up there in their PGG Wrightson shirts, and I'm sure these guys had a little bit of a look at the last heat. We'll get them cranked up when they get into about their second merino.
Yeah, they'll know exactly what they've got to do now. So we've got another very good lineup again. As I said, we have got the top boys. These are the multi-breed shearers. Tony Knott from Blenheim there on stand. Number one, I think I read in one of the magazines.
Could I have Mavis Mullins to the office, please? Mavis Mullins to the office. Thank you.
I think I read that Tony was sort of semi-retired, but he's come out and he's made this semi-final. It's great to see him up there having a good go, and I'm sure his wife has been giving him a talking to. She wants to take that truck home as well. Tony Costa, then, he's won this event a few times, so he knows his way around these multi-breeds. He's a master at it. Then we got a young fella there. He should have a big crowd of followers. I'll be handing over to his father-in-law in a minute. Up there on stand number 3, Parata Abraham. We saw him over in the UK last year. He's been doing well, and he can share all these breeds. He's been over in Australia, so he knows his way around these sheep. Then we got Gavin Much from Scotland. They're on stand at number 4. Gavin's shown a few merinos. I wouldn't say he's shown a lot, but he's the current world champion, ladies and gentlemen, there on stand number 4, so he knows his way how to push his steel. And look at him, he's not far off. In goes Tony Costa for sheep number 2. Then we got Gavin Rowland. He's probably one of the busiest men in the shearing industry there on stand number 4. Of course, he's in charge of Textra, and he's the chairman of Shearing Sports New Zealand as well. And he knows his way around. He's been an instructor. Swampy, as a lot of us know him. He knows his way, and he knows exactly what he's doing. Then, of course, we got Nathan Stratford up there on stand number 6. He made the top 30. Now he's made the open semis. The young fella from down in Invercargill there. I know that Colin O'Neill is Mouse, as we know from Alex, has been teaching him how to shear these merinos. So he'll be one he'd love to make this final, ladies and gentlemen. And he's really got the bit between his teeth. The young fella who was in the New Zealand team over in the UK last year. So, Nucky, we got a brilliant lineup again, and they know exactly what they've got to do on these old wrinklies.
Well, the PGG Wrightson National Circuit, Heat 2. We have a good lineup. Gavin Rowland on stand number 5. Down into the belly he goes on his second merino. They've got 4 merinos to shear. Well, these guys are really trying to work out this quality. These wethers have a lot of work in them. It looks like they're doing pretty good jobs. They saw the first heat. They might have worked out they could sacrifice a little bit of time. I don't know. Only they know. Tony Knott from Blenheim. Well, Tony a very accomplished merino shearer. Up the undermine he goes. He'll just clear. If you notice, they take a little bit more of the top notch off on these merinos. There's a little butt from the horn up on the top of the head. They just want to clear that, so they just make sure that nothing's there. Parata Abraham from Dannyburg on stand number 3. Well, that looks like a pretty tight merino, but he'll pulls those legs up. These merinos are renowned for just lashing out with their back legs, especially these weathers. They love to sit there and wait. I have seen a few people have a little bit of joy with their noses jogged.
Yeah, I don't envy them at all. Look at that. Look at, you would have to say it's a real so-and-so, wouldn't you? Look, tucked up like that. It's very difficult to get the belly wool off when a sheep is sitting like that, and it just won't relax and just tries to spur you all the time with its back legs, and it'll be carrying on doing that all the way through. So Parata not only had a real tough merino on that first one, he's got a damn right ignorant sod on the second one. But it's surprising me is Gavin Much, who's going very strongly. In fact, he's going to be first in to get his third merino. So the young man that's farming up in the Naki at the moment, representing Scotland, the current world champion as though he is at the moment, but that counts for nothing here today. But he is shearing extremely well amongst some very experienced fine wool competitors, the likes of Nathan Stratford, Tony Costa and Tony Knott here on the front stand. A little bit of work, Gavin Rowlands, he's been around a while. He's the big man in Shearing Sports New Zealand now, and he's at the helm there, controlling what happens to this sport of ours that we so greatly enjoy. Parata Abraham's quite a difficult sheep, as I said, but he's stepping up the neck now. He's got that little bit of an ear to go around and a little bit of horn there. Clears off behind it. Little short blows, nothing too full on, because you could run into a wrinkle at any stage, and you don't really want to slice these ones open. While they don't bleed a heck of a lot, with those little fine skin cuts, it doesn't look too impressive to the judges out the back and the general public. And that's what we try to do with this shearing world, is improve the standard of shearing, so that we're not just the old barnyard boys that blaze the wool off and then don't give a damn. It is professional, and these are professional athletes, and every day they go to work they can train at their job. And here comes Nathan Stratford now, taking the top knot off, very careful, a lot of little blows there as he goes around the ear. He's always been a very quick man with his hand, and he now starts to pump up the neck. 2 or 3 sideward blows now, and he just tries to lift it up over that dewlap. The judge can't see a damn thing what he was doing under there, because then he had to break the neck open and let the light in so the judge could see. But over the last side down comes Parata Abrahams, doing a pretty good job from a difficult sheep. Got a sheep put around him at the moment, but he's only young. He can shear the crossbred sheep all right, so he'll be hoping he can come back over those 4 sheep. Still one of these merinos in the pen for these shearers as Gavin Much turns for home. But look at the Tony Costa now. He's put on a bit of pace, and he's dropping out the last leg. He knew that Gavin Much would bounce out, and he said, righto, I'll do my rough ones first, and then I'll go in and pick up the better ones as I can get a little bit of pace on those last couple. Tony Knott comes over the last shoulder here. Plenty of dewlap on that sheep. Judges, of course, you might see a little bit of wool there on the dewlap. Now the judge is going to, out the back, he's going to get a credit card size little gizmo, and he'll measure those second cuts still on the sheep with a credit card size block, and then it'll be bang, 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 and they'll get towards up to 100 on some of these sheep. It's just the nature of the beast. And out the last side comes Tony from Blenheim here on the front stand. Gavin Much goes in for sheep number 4. Nathan Stratford about to go in for number 4. Across the shoulder on the last side is old Swampy Rowlands on 5. And Tony Costa, the pacemaker here, Hugh, has he saved the better one for the last one, or are the other boys going to pick him up? He's just stepping up the neck now.
Yeah, it looks as if he's got a good one. The girls are starting to shout Dad on as well, so they'll make a bit more noise as he goes on. Nathan Stratford, and he's got the belly roll coming off. So too is Tony Knott on stand number 1. Gavin Rowlands, the instructor there, on stand number 5. In he goes. I think that's sheep number 4 coming out for him as well. So Parata Abraham, he's got 3 on the board. Up the neck goes Parata. That is still Tony Costa. You can see those little nubs of horn there on stand number 2 as that sheep is just getting to turn around. Nathan Stratford has picked the pace up a little bit now. Into the undermine he goes. These are some woolly fellas up here now, these weathers. They'll be really wanting to get them finished so they can get into those seconds here. Off comes a top notch for Nathan. But already just about to get to the turn is Tony Costa. He's thinking, you fellas have got a lot to do to catch me now. Down the last side comes Tony Costa. He clings off. And now you can see that big wrinkle there as he lifted that head. That is a wrinkly fella there, and you can see why they call these red eyes, because that's all you can see in some of the shearing sheds when you go into the door is a big pair of red eyes looking at you. And if you haven't got red eyes when you leave the shed out of panic and desperation, you've done bloody well. So we got Tony Costa now, then down the last side he comes, underneath the front leg. Nathan Stratford dropping into that shoulder. These old Merinos are taking a fair bit of shearing, looky.
Well, they are, and it looks like, yes, Tony Costa on stand number 2. Out the leg he goes. Nathan Stratford on stand number 6 into the long blow. They've got pretty good points up there. Tony Costa, well, I tell you, this guy can get around a Merino and a crossbred. Well, Parata Abraham on stand number 3. Well, you better hurry up, Pi. Keep the quality, but I'm telling you, you're getting a little bit behind. Gavin Rowland on stand number 5. Down the last side he comes. A lot of work in these necks and these Merinos. Gavin Much, well, he's not renowned for shearing Merinos, but he's shorn that extremely well. And he goes for his first crossbred. Tony Knott from Blenheim on stand 1. He'll finish off the 4th Merino. But remember, Parata Abraham on stand 3. He's got 1 more Merino left. Well, John, a good heat, and there's some good points up there.
Oh, Parata, I just saw him look at his board points there. He said, crikey, this is getting tough. These guys are going to be having 2 round me by the time I got this last Merino out. But stick to your task, Parata. The game's not over until all the points are counted. And that's what Tony Costa is doing. He's got that early lead, and he's still a half a sheep ahead of the field at the moment. He steps in now. Sheep number 6 is it. Tony Knott around the back of the head, down towards the first shoulder. Sheep number 5 on the board for him. Sheep number 5 almost finished for Gavin Much. Down there, Swampy Rollers has got his first crossbred on the board. Likewise as Nathan Stratford and the little Invercargill Flyer is starting to wind into the job. Parata Abraham's got a bit of a mission in front of him, still on that last Merino. Gavin Much, though, he's starting to let it fly now, the boy from the Naki. Down the belly he goes. Tony Costa's dropping down towards the first shoulder. Tony knocks out the last side on sheep 5. Likewise as down the far end, Nathan Stratford, he's pumping down there. Look at him go, and he bounces in the man from Invercargill. Gavin Much up the neck and around the side of the head. His last side coming up for Swampy Rollins. Under the shoulder and down and out the flank for Tony Costa. Doing it pretty easy at the moment. Gavin Much is into the long blow. 2 sheep, can he pull him back now? 12 minutes and 55 gone. Hugh, they're doing all right, these guys.
Hugh's just gone at the back to have a look at those Merinos. He thinks they're the ugliest things he's ever seen in his whole life. Up the neck works Tony Knott on stand number 1. Round the head he works, but Tony Costa is on fire. Into the undermine he goes, and his sheep's giving him a little bit of a wriggle. Down there on stand number 6, Nathan Stratford is chasing hard. Parata Abraham on stand number 3, still got one of those big, ugly, wrinkly mamas in front of him. He has got a bit of an ask in front of him. Down here on stand number 1 though, Tony Knott, down over the shoulder he comes, Johnny.
Oh, going hard down there on the far end as Nathan Stratford steps in. Sheep number 7 coming out for him. Swampy Rollins half done in sheep 6. Round the back of the head for Gavin much on forward. He's dropping down towards the first shoulder. Parada Abraham still on that ready old wrinkly there. He's still got a bit of work. Here comes Tony Costa out the last leg. He's just the last side in front of Gavin much now, but Costa says, "You're not catching me, you Scotty. I've got you beat today." Then he goes for his 8th and final sheet. Tony Knott's got number 7 and he's done the undermine now. Gavin Much got 3 blows to go and he's got to be stepping in for his last one. Swampy Rollers has got 7 on the board. Half Sean 7 for Nathan Stratford down the far end. Round of applause coming up for Parada Abrahams. He's finally got rid of that last Merino. Crikey, let it go, Parada. You'll be in love with it shortly if you hang on to it much longer. Down the porthole it goes. Whoa, he says, I'm over that thing big time. What are you up to? What are you thinking down there, Nuku?
Well, Tony Costa on stand number 2. He's into the long blow. He's leading this field. Gavin Much, the world champion, on stand number 4. He's giving chase, but look at this man on stand number 2, Tony Costa. Sheep number 8, and it's a good time. 15 minutes and 10 seconds. Down out the leg he goes. Well, he's put on a good display for you guys. Tony Costa, it's time. Give him a hand. A good shear there, Toma.
It certainly was a good shear, and Gavin Much on stand number 4. He's about to get his time taken as well. Well done, Gavin.
Pretty smart there at 15 and a half minutes, I think. There's old Tony Costa. He had all the fun now here. All the girls down here in the second row were giving him beans. He says, if you don't come off first, you're buying lunch. He could be buying lunch anyway, because I think he might have done enough to get through to that next round, the final. And Parada Abrahams has finally got some relief now as he comes out the last leg. A little bit of relief for the sheep have just settled down for him. Swampy's got his last one on the board down there on stand number 5. Nathan Stratford's finished the job for himself. Under the shoulder comes Tony Knott from Blenheim on the front stand. Down the last side he comes. He's going to drop this one down the portal and be very grateful. He's coming out there in about 16 minutes and 20 odd seconds, and very pleased to be at the end of that marathon. Down the last leg comes, or the last side, the first side, the undermine comes Parada Abraham, the Danny Burke man. I was watching Swampy Rollins and talking about another fella, but it's Swampy turning now. Oh, just get up and dance. She wants to show how well you've shorn that first half of the sheep. Over the shoulder on the last side. Nooker, you'll be feeling for Parada as he comes up the long blow when you're just a little bit testy shearing those merinos.
Well, he gives it his best shot, and Kushla Abraham's calling out, go pie. The family are right there with him. He turns to the last side, but Gavin Rowland on stand number 5. He's finished. Give him a hand. A big, tall Gavin Rowland. He's had a good shear. Patata's got 2 more sheep left in the pen, but he'll get them done. He'll just run in the pen and run out. Well, Tuma, you know how hard it is to get around some of those wrinklies. And he's done extremely well, and you've got to finish your pen, and we'll just keep commentating until he gets through to the end.
Yes, those merinos, Nicky, they're a breed of their own. Not everybody's cup of tea. You got to sort of think a little bit more. And Pairata had quite a challenging pen. Body wrinkle, which is probably what slowed him down the most. Not so much the neck wrinkle, but the body wrinkle. It's like a judder bars. Speed bumps. You'd know about that, Nuki, the speed bumps.
Well, I think he's still got good points up there. You never know, Tuma. He's got 1 more sheep to shear after this one. Oh, these second shear ewes, they want to kick as well. And you know what it's like. The old tension goes, the nerves kick in, and you know you're doing it yourself. But Quistra and the family, they're all down there cheering for him. Come on, help him out. He's got 1 more to go. Keep going, Pi. Tom, how's it looking where you are? He's going pretty well, though, isn't he?
His qualities are looking exceptional, Nuki. And Pairata is, he's a quality shearer. And you never know. Like you say, he might scrape through there. And he goes for his 8 sheep, Nuki. He'll be glad this one's on the board.
Yeah. Well,
sorry, Tom. You're just just watching him go there, just say the quality been right there, but he struggled right from that first sheep, and these crossbreds aren't actually not giving him an easy run either, and all alone up there seems a hell of a long time. It's only going to take him 20 minutes to shear these sheep, but that's a big effort, and he'll be pleased he was well fit for this job. He drops around the back of the head now. Come on. Can't hear the fun now. They've all gone home, I think. Into the long blow he goes. Come on, Parada. Choke that comb, mate. Working into the last side. Big blows. Choke it up. Choke it up. Turns down the top. What about 16 blows to go as he comes off the top now. Works across the shoulder. Couple of short ones out over the shoulder blade and under the shoulder and down and out to the flank. He's about to go. Big long blow coming up here, right out the last leg. Look at it. Now pokes it in. 2 blows to go. 1. Let her go down the chute. And get your time taken, ladies and gentlemen. That's Parada Abrahams in the PGG Wrightson second heat. Over and done with in the National Circuit semi-final.